There are 3 ways that Gojo will ascend past humanity into a realm that we just haven't seen before and into true godhood. And I honestly believe that this version of Gojo, which we may see, is going to be stronger than any version of anything that we've seen in the series. And yes, even though Gojo is my GOAT, I do believe that he will lose this battle, but he will win the war with Sukuna. Although he may lose the second war, but I'll explain all that in the video. So strap in all the way until the end, because this is going to be the wildest Gojo theory that you have ever heard. And of course, do boys solid and leave a like, it does help out, and also be sure to subscribe for a ton of JJK videos, spoiler videos, live streams, and of course thank you to Isekai and that guy Trey too. Thanks guys. Alright, so I think we all know that Gojo, he doesn't have to lose narratively, but he has to quote unquote lose. Because let's be honest, there's no way Gojo is actually just going to kill Sukuna now and end the series here and now. I mean, maybe that would be very cool if that's the case. I mean, there is the possibility that Gojo actually defeats Sukuna, but just before he finishes Sukuna off, you know, Sukuna might play a very dirty tactic where he switches to Megumi, and that makes Gojo hesitate for a second and he kills him that way. Or maybe while Gojo's injured and distracted, Kenjaku or Urume come in from behind and sneak Gojo that way. Or it's even possible that yes, Gojo defeats Sukuna, but then Kenjaku comes in and he can absorb Sukuna with curse spirit manipulation, and he probably adds him to the merger. And though it's questionable on if curse spirit manipulation can even work on Sukuna, you know, that's a whole different video that I've done where I answer that. But regardless, the point being, Sukuna probably will win this fight one way or another, and obviously we know characters like Kashimo will have to step in, because maybe the curse technique will probably be saved for Mahoruga though, not specifically Sukuna, because as we know in the actual mythology where it's parallel, you know, there's a character called Arjuna and there's a character called Karna, where Arjuna is Sukuna and Kashimo is Karna, and the mythology is literally going as it is in the story, where the character that Kashimo is based off of has a one-time lightning attack that he uses on the guy that Sukuna is based off of, but the guy who Sukuna is based off of, Arjuna has this beast that's just like Mahoruga that can adapt to anything, and also that guy has the same weapon that Sukuna has in the cover page, which is the Varja. Karna uses his one-time attack not on actually Arjuna, which he wanted to do, but rather on the beast that Mahoruga is based off of. But I won't get into that now, just wanted to throw out that too. And funny enough, I've actually made a video on that recently too. But not to get too sidetracked and actually come back onto Gojo. Even if he loses or he dies or whatever goes on, you're right, because Sukuna has this plan and the sneaky bastard has kept Mahoruga, at least the wheel hidden in the 10 shadows, possibly from the start, or maybe he did it in the 3 minutes inside the domain, which we didn't see, but it is not looking good for Gojo right now. And I don't know why, I just have this gut feeling or this image in my head where Sukuna gets his 4 arms, 2 of them hold Gojo's arms up and the other 2 just rip his heart out, and he just leaves Gojo to die. And before he fully finishes him off, which that should kill him already, Kashimo or Yuta or someone would step in that moment just to save him. You know, Uyu can teleport them in. But what is going to happen to Gojo after all of this, and how is he going to ascend like I'm saying he will? Well, the way I think this is going to happen is that I do think Gojo may actually come back as a vengeful curse. Now, the way you come back as a vengeful curse, as we've seen with Naoya, and we even saw a flashback with Gakuganji talking to Noritoshi Kamo, is that if someone kills you without cursed energy, then you will come back as a curse. And that's how Naoya actually came back, because Maki's mother stabbed Naoya with a knife, not with cursed energy, and because of that, he had actually come back as a curse. Now, the interesting thing is that we know in the past, right, the 3 big vengeful spirits, all of them had died and then come back as vengeful cursed spirits. Now, it's very odd, because how would all of them come back as vengeful cursed spirits, especially when it's presumed that the 3 of them had killed each other, or something along those lines, and yet they've probably been killed by cursed energy, yet they came back as vengeful cursed spirits, which shouldn't be possible at all. Which means that there may be more to it. It's possible that, let's say Sukuna actually finishes Gojo off, but Gojo, he perishes by bleeding out or in a way that's not directly from cursed energy, or let's say just before Gojo passes, he actually just offs himself with no cursed energy naturally, kind of to actually cheat the system and bypass it, so technically he died without cursed energy and he can come back that way. We know that Michizane Sugawara, so he was the vengeful cursed spirit of the Gojo clan, right? He's the direct ancestor of Yuta and Gojo, and he was the one who had the 6 eyes and Limitless. Gojo himself said in a light novel, which is canon, that Michizane Sugawara was as strong as Gojo, though presumably after he had become a cursed spirit. Now just imagine how strong Gojo would be if he actually turns into a vengeful cursed spirit. It would be monstrous. I mean, we saw how strong Naoya got when Naoya was just a high grade 1, you know, a really high grade 1, and he skyrockets into someone as strong as Jogo, you know, definitely stronger than Dagon. I mean, he was ridiculous just how powerful Naoya had become when he became a curse. And the scariest part is that Naoya was still growing, right? That was his first fight, and he was growing faster than Mahito in that fight, so you can only imagine just how terrifyingly powerful Gojo would be if he actually came back as a vengeful curse. Now, of course, that's not the only possibility that I want to bring up. There is always the possibility that Gojo can actually transcend past humanity itself and evolve into something such as Tengen or Sukuna. Now, we know how Tengen actually did this, you know, it relates to their curse technique and how they were aging too fast, but how did Sukuna do this? That's still something that we never got an answer for, because we know for a fact Sukuna was a human confirmed originally before he had transcended into this evolved human, which is now a mixture of a curse and a human. And how though? I mean, it's not like Sukuna lived a couple hundred years. I mean, maybe we just don't know and that's actually happened. But even so, it's not like Sukuna has an immortality curse technique or anything along those lines. Then he wouldn't have needed to transcend into a cursed object, you know, take Kenjaku's offer and do that. Though to be fair, the details behind that are really murky, so we don't know why he actually took that offer, but it still goes to show that there is more than one way to actually transcend past humanity, and you don't need to go the route that Tengen did. And I've even seen a lot of people say that Tengen is a failure. I'm not too sure why. I definitely don't think Tengen was a failure in terms of evolving past humanity. Perhaps it is the case because we saw Tengen did have a Sukuna clone, or Sukuna's original body, or Sukuna's brother's body, you know, whatever that Shimbutsu mummy was. But regardless, if Gojo somehow transcends past humanity the same way that Sukuna did, which we don't know how he did it at all, it was a different way from Tengen, who's stopping him? I mean, just how unfathomably powerful would he become in that situation? And not only that, but it would also have Gojo lose, then the main cast would have to step in and do their things, and then at the very end we could see Gojo has come back either as a vengeful cursed spirit or a transcended human. But I know you guys are now asking, but what's the point of him coming back as a vengeful cursed spirit or a transcendent being, right? Either of these godlike beings. If the main cast has fought Sukuna, or the, you know, maybe Yuji's defeated Sukuna, or whatever's going on there, like, you know, what's the point of it at that time? I think the point is going to be for the merger, because we still need someone to actually take on the merger. I have my no better theory in there, absolutely crackpot theory, but let's be honest, it might actually just be Gojo himself. He might have to take on, someone just might have to take on the merger. You know, we have Yuki as well. Yuki will influence it because her soul is of a star plasma vessel, and it may have gone into Tengen's body because it was nearby, but those are all different theories that I've covered in the past. But what is the third possibility that I gave? So I've already said two, vengeful curse and a transcended human. The third is actually, what if Sukuna defeats Gojo, but then Kenjaku comes in and he actually forcibly merges Gojo with the merger before Gojo passes away? Because Gojo would have no way to defend himself, let's say if he's passed out or near death, and then Kenjaku could forcibly actually take him into the merger. So we know that sorcerers can reject the merger, specifically because they have the strength and willpower to do so with their cursed energy. But could someone do that if they're on death's door? Because the main theory is, and I've said this so many times in so many videos, that the merger curse, it's possible that it's going to have Sukuna's element into it, or if Kenjaku actually takes control of Sukuna, he would use Sukuna as the vessel for the merger, and the merger would just be absolutely ballistically strong. But what if it's actually Gojo? Gojo is the vessel for the merger, or Gojo, all of his cursed energy abilities are taken into the merger. Yeah. Who's stopping that? I mean, it's an idea that no one's thought of, and it's very unlikely, but I just want to say, if it does happen, it would be absolutely wild, because then the main villain itself would be Gojo, and it'd be pretty funny because it was foreshadowed in a way as well when Shoko said, you know, Gojo might rampage when he comes out of the prison realm because he might be crazy. So we might actually get that being true now. Other than that, Gojo is just remarkably powerful already with the skill sets that he already has, so if you just give him anything of that I just mentioned on top of that, let's say the merger's cursed energy, right, he's a vessel for the merger, or his powers go into the merger, or if he just transcends, right, via the way Sukuna did, or into a vengeful cursed spirit, I just don't see anyone stopping him. He would really become the strongest thing we've seen in the verse. But I did just want to throw that out there, you know, it is pretty unlikely. I don't see GEGE. He doesn't really like to go down these crazy theory routes or anything like that. He usually likes to go the very simple routes, the Occam's razor's choice. Not to say it's bad in any case, it's actually the opposite. He's a god tier author where he can just go the simple path and make it so well and write it so well that it's just insanely good and enjoyable. But it would be interesting if GEGE does throw that monkey wrench, because as we've seen before, he does do that sometimes. You know, with Maguna, that was absolutely wild. That is not a simple writing choice right there. To have the inner demon switch from the main character to the Dragonist, right, that's just wild. So maybe. But what do you think Gojo's fate will be, and do you think anything that I said is true? Because hey, god tier Gojo, I'm down for that as a Gojo fan. Let me know in the comments down below, and if you liked anything I'd say, be sure to leave a like, it does help out. And of course, be sure to subscribe for a ton of JJK content on the channel, power scaling, what ifs, theories, live streams, spoiler videos, all of it's on the channel. So if you love JJK, you won't regret it. And of course, thank you to all members of the channel as well. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you very much for seeing your name. Take care and have a nice day.